On the Tim Marner podcast show today, we've got our friend Gary House, running coach, and the owner and founder of the House Running Club. Gary, thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see you.
Tell me how you first, I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, how did you first get into running?
Because I've been asked that question before, it's kind of evolved.
Has it?
Yeah, because I had to think back. And so the first early memory of running was like primary school. And it's very quite small primary school, to the point where in my last year, I was the only lad because the other lad left. So it was me, 6 other girls. Sports day, I cleared up. So I went into high school with this kind of inflated ego, I guess, that I was good at sport. And then you get thrown into high school and it's genetics based, isn't it? So like the geeky science kid is winning 100 meters and all that stuff. And I wasn't. So it was a bit of a wake up call. But what I was good at was the longer stuff. And I think it was still only because people, like the cool kids, didn't really want to do the cross country, but I just saw it as a way of a day off school. So yeah, the earliest proper memory of like a race was high school, and thinking if I get top 5, it was at the time, I get a day off school to go to the next competition. I think I finished 4th, just about, and that was the first time I raced properly.
When you did it, like, was it more of a feeling than actually doing it?
Yeah, I mean, like even in that one in primary school, like I can still remember now, there was lads in the year below. Yeah, so I'm talking like age 9 or whatever. But I wrote out on a piece of paper like a little game plan for me to win. So these 2 lads had to start either end of the line and cross over, like block everyone. That's like, I was 10.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's only when I think back to that. So there was that point. Then in high school, when I finished 4th in this race and I got a day off, that was the first time where I wasn't average, because I was lucky in the fact that my year in football was very good. We had play at Liverpool, Aston Villa, Everton. We were winning like Welsh trophies at age 13, 14. I was in that squad, but I was average, bang average footballer. Whereas when I went to run, I was a bit better than average, I guess. So again, I'd link it back to that. In that same high school, my PE teacher, I was like trying all kinds of sports, football, hockey, all sorts. The teacher I had, PE teacher, because I was typical, loved PE, enjoyed English, hated everything else. And then I just remember he said, you're built like a distance runner, because I was trying to play rugby and football and stuff, but there was nothing of me. He just said, you're built like a distance runner, go and run. And it wasn't only until years later I remembered that. And I think those little bits spurred me on.
So that was like kind of a significant point where a teacher's kind of give you that belief in yourself to say, look, this is what.
Not at the time. Yeah. I just dismissed it because I was a footballer. I was playing football every night. Well, not every night, most nights. And then, yeah, I left running because, like I say, I have to think back to those points, and I think they're important now. But at the time, they were just dismissed because I played football. I was football with the lads all the way through high school. To the point where I was naturally good at hockey, like field hockey, had a Welsh trial and everything, didn't even go because I went to the pub with my mates. And that was like 16 kind of thing. Yeah. Because it was the football lads playing football, till I reached the age of 19. And I moved from the little village in North Wales to Manchester. And then that's when running started properly then.
Yeah. How did it start properly for you?
Yeah, well, that's the kind of proper story is, like I say, I haven't ran then for 5 years. Went to the odd cross-country stuff with school, but it was for a day off. Wasn't interested in running, it was football. And I was at 19 playing football, Saturday, Sunday league, but I was going out, drinking with the lads, and then turning to like partying clubs and stuff. So it was just getting a bit chaotic. Drinking, partying, football, 4 nights a week.
At the time, what were you thinking of doing as a profession then? What was your...
At that time, like when I went to, like I finished high school and just about scraped a couple of GCSEs enough to go to college and stuff, but I was always seen as bright.
Yeah.
But again, like at high school, just wasn't interested. Like the first time I made people laugh or the first time I had an argument with a teacher, that's all I spent my time doing.
Yeah.
Just wasn't interested.
The joker.
Yeah. And again, like looking back, the teachers stood no chance because I didn't know it at the time, but I had a knack of like the whole class would be laughing.
Yeah.
So I was just a dick.
Which
basically.
is pretty much what you do on your Instagram and TikTok right now.
Well, I have to have some kind of outlet for it because the wife and kids don't laugh, and I don't work in a team anymore. So that's how that started. But moved to Manchester because I was just failing really at life because I was job to job. I was working in bars, and I loved working in bars, but I didn't want to be working in bars when I was 30. I was subconsciously a bit scared that I was going to be like, I knew the lads that were 30 in my town because it's a small town, and I'd be out drinking with them at the age of 19, 20. You could see where life was heading. And through working at bars, I got friendly with a guy who was a hairdresser in Chester. And one day we got drunk. He was in the bar and he said, "Come and work for me." And that was it. Started hairdressing from working in like, it's been on the telly as like the toughest pub in Wales or something. On the Monday morning, started working as a hairdresser. He bypassed all the brushing up the floors and everything, and I was learning on the job straight away and loved it.
It was random, innit? It
was random, yeah, and I didn't tell the footy lads for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it was only when I was working in like a Tony and Guy in Chester, and obviously they found out kind of thing. I remember telling them on
how did that go down?
I can't remember how they found out, but we were in the Sunday League changing rooms.
Yeah.
And it was just, I loved that atmosphere, the banter of it, taking the piss out of each other.
Yeah.
So it was just another thing. It was far less hassle than just got the piss took out of me. But then I was single at the time, and on Thursday, some of them worked in Chester, so on a Thursday night, I just remember like some of the girls in this hairdresser would be like, "Gary, coming out for a drink," and then obviously they're like, all of a sudden it was, oh, there's some upsides to this as well.
So when you're doing your hairdressing, you was living in Manchester, were you?
No, Chester. I was still at home in Chester. Well, in North Wales, but working in Chester.
Right.
And then I moved to Manchester. A bit of a mix of still trying out the hairdressing, and it was just tough because you're 20 and you're not earning anything. Yeah. But at the same time, I was working in bars, and I worked in a cocktail bar in the evening, and yeah, it's just earning too much money doing that compared to the other thing.
So you just got into running just to get back into fitness?
Yeah, that sets up where, like, I moved to Manchester. I literally told my mum, like, I'm moving to Manchester next week. I've got a job in a new salon in South Manchester, and that was I was thinking about going to the city kind of thing. Manchester, big city, compared to where I was from, and it was just hard because, well, it wasn't hard the job, but again, I wasn't getting paid anything really. Couldn't really support myself. Even like the rent was my wages, so I had to get the second job, and then the money from the second job was going out partying with my new friends, but they weren't really friends; they were just workmates. Yeah. So then I've always loved sport and everything, but I've gone from being out with the lads 4 times a week and being in that environment to being in like a shared house, 6 other people, 4 different cultures, different parts of the world. And I didn't have enough money to join a gym, didn't know anyone to join a football club, so I just started running down the canals, and that was it. I used my football AstroTurf trainers. I used to look at the clock on the way out, and then if I wanted to run longer, I would try and aim to it to be longer when I came back in, and if I wanted to run faster, I'd try and get the clock to be sooner when I came back in, and that was it. First couple of goes, absolute dog shit, basically. Yeah, but I thought I was fit because I was 20 odd, played football all the time, but I wasn't fit. I was just young. Whereas when you run, you can't really hide any fitness, can you? So yeah, that was it. I was kind of, and again, I was going for, and like 30 minutes would be an hour would be 2 hours, going for these ridiculous long runs. But I think some of it was because I didn't want to be in that house. Yeah. Although I was like, when I was with my friends and with the people I knew, I was like, how you probably know me kind of thing, quite comfortable. But like, yeah, it's just completely new to me. Didn't know anyone. And I was kind of just avoiding being in the house and didn't have any money. So that was when running
Your
started.
outlet, like.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a sort of a mental health sort of meditation for yourself.
A little
you
bit.
Kind of.
Yeah, it was just something completely new. I was exploring the area. I was in my head getting fitter. Yeah. And yeah, didn't really have anything else to do because I had to I always needed an excuse not to go out the weekend because the others were further ahead. They had money to spare. Yeah. Didn't have any money. So it's like, no, I'm okay. I'm going for this running or anything. But so and in that I was then buying books. So, and they would
to run better.
Not at first. It was more like story based, like typical like Born to Run and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So I was really getting into this. Running's quite interesting. And I'd never been a reader either, but this just caught my attention, and I had the time as well. So yeah, running was either. So I've got a mixture of worlds almost. I'm working and partying, but I was still going home a lot of the weekends because my mates were going clubbing, so I would still go clubbing. Yeah. And again, it was just, and because I would always do stuff to an excess, there came a point where it was like, can't keep both up because I'm going out partying 3 nights a week and I'm trying to build a career, I thought at the time, and I'm a runner. So it was just too much.
What did you get emotionally connected to Born to Run, the book?
No. Just enjoyed the story.
Did you?
What I did, I know, like people say it was like a turning point in their life, and
all like a cathartic moment or something like that.
I was 20. I didn't have like at 19. Like part of the reason why I went to Manchester is because at 19 I found out I was adopted.
Right.
That was the first time I found out, and it was through like a random series of events, and that kind of.
How did that affect you?
At the time.
Did you find out yourself, or did your adopted mum tell you?
Yeah, so my mum had to tell me, but so I was going to a stag do in Ibiza, and I'd been on a few other holidays, lost 2 passports, and at the time, if you needed a 3 within a certain amount of time, I had to go for an interview.
Yeah.
So I had to go to this interview in Liverpool, and to have it, I needed my original birth certificate, which I'd never seen, never questioned it or anything. So I had to take this to get this new passport. And then, whereas like 19 years beforehand, my mum and dad had made the decision not to tell us, and then she's been forced into this position. So she's breaking down. And so that event, in hindsight again, was a good thing, but for a couple of years it was like, could have gone one way or the other.
Yeah.
So as people say, they're running away from things, don't they? When they start running and moving to Manchester.
Have you thought about this a lot? Like that, when you were running on the canal, that in that moment you didn't realise, but looking back on it, were you potentially that's the reason you took it?
Yeah, only because I'm a bit older. It's like nearly 20 years ago, and it's like a bit wiser and learnt more stuff and done self-development.
So you basically did a Forrest Gump, what he did, because he just started running.
A little bit, yeah. And I try and think of it as like I was running towards stuff rather than away from stuff, because like seeing my mum break down on that day, that's the worst thing I've seen. Not me being adopted. For me, that was fine because I didn't know anything different.
Yeah.
I've got a younger brother who's blonde, 6'2". Never questioned it. He was adopted as well, and but then you start to think of other things. Well, like I'd never really thought of kids, but then my kids are the only 2 blood relatives I'll ever meet or have ever met. So you start thinking of all that kind of stuff.
Have you thought about going into your DNA and looking for your biological mum? No,
just haven't. Like my wife Charlotte's, like at first she used to push it a little bit more, not to go and do it, but
what's the reason for you not that you kind of just respect for your adopted mum?
There is that, yeah. Like my mum and dad split up when we were 13, 14, and it wasn't a great breakup.
Yeah.
And then by the age of 18, like it came into like not blows with my dad, but we had a bit of a rumble on the floor and stuff, and we haven't really spoke since. I think we spoke once or twice since. So I didn't have that father figure from 14, and again, this is all hindsight.
Yeah.
So, but by 1920, like I say, I was happy because I got this group of mates. Like mates, and they're still a great group of mates now, same people. So I'm happy, and my mum's a great mum. So I'm happy. Don't need more mates. Don't need another mum, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which might sound
No, I
selfish.
think it's good. No, I think it's good, mate. I think if you like who you are and stuff like that, and you know, it is. Do you need to find out what would the reason for it?
Yeah.
You know,
like I'm a bit of a risk reward person. It's like they could be a multi-millionaire, but it doesn't mean anything to me because the way I look at it straight away is my mum and my dad did a great job bringing me up, and for like someone at some point has probably made a tough decision, but hopefully a good one.
Yeah.
For the better. So
the reason for it.
Their reason for it, yeah.
So
like you got to think, like I'm 38. It's different then, isn't it? Like especially like my mum and dad going through that
huge, because
process.
you're going through that identity crisis and you don't really know who you are, do you? And you find out that you're adopted, and then you kind of question your own identity, and you kind of go, who am I really?
Well, people say that. Like I'll be honest, I'm quite good at compartmentalising stuff.
Right.
The day after, I was actually okay about it. But it was more because my mum was upset.
Yeah.
So I can imagine it's probably way worse for her. Because I've been brought up well, I was lucky, it was a nice family life, and although they broke up, it's like, I never had any issues growing up. We weren't well off or anything, but we weren't on the breadline. I was really lucky, so I counted myself lucky. That was the main kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Because I've got friends who've grown up in care and stuff, and remember at that point, I didn't know that I was adopted. So more empathy for that kind of thing, and
so take me back to the running on the canal. You go in 2 hours, you go in 3,
just longer, because
just
again
longer
back then I didn't even have a watch. I remember mobile phones weren't even. I did have a mobile phone, but it was like the biggest investment I made was, remember, like the old Sony Walkman phones. I thought it was amazing because I could listen to my music along the canal, getting tangled up in all these bloody things. And
so what was the move from like kind of doing that into you're reading more books, thinking about gates and cadence and all these things?
That it was just all like. So all
is anything been planned out for you? Or is it just
no? No. In short, the next important point really was I'm in Manchester, but I'm still going back to visit friends. My friend has a birthday party. I meet a girl, and we kind of have a chat or whatever, hit it off. But then I go back to Manchester. Don't even know where she's from. I just know she's a friend of a friend. Then I get a random phone call midweek. She's out having a drink, and I'm in bed because I'm in Manchester again. Don't know anyone, do I? And it was her, bit drunk, speaking to her, and then so we agreed to meet up the next time all our friends meet up. She'd got my number off a friend. At the time, she's in Leicester University. I'm in Manchester, but we hit it off, and so at that point, I decided to enter Leicester half marathon, because if I'm in Leicester, then I have to stay there for the weekend.
So we're talking like a real connection here.
Or stalker, It's like, you don't know if I'd get away with it now, but it's just like. I mean, you're young, aren't you? So I'm booking. I'll come to Leicester. Telling her I'll come to Leicester to see her.
Yeah.
But again, part of you is like a lad. I'm not just going to go to Leicester. It's like I have to enter the Leicester half marathon. Never entered a race before. Basically to try and impress her, I guess. I'm this runner. I'm entering the Leicester half. She's not impressed. I was getting beat by 60-year-old guys, wasn't I? And I was in my football kit with kind of thing. So. And I remember not hardly being able to walk back from the finish to the bus back to her kind of accommodation. But I stayed there for the full weekend. Then went back to Manchester, and like now we're married with 2 kids, so I can always tell this story because I don't look as much of a stalker. So I only did that once, and it paid off. But then and again, she's in Leicester, I'm in Manchester, but within 6 months or a year, she was coming to visit me in Manchester more, just because Manchester was more fun, really. but we just took the decision to move back into her parents together.
Which is in Leicester.
No, she was only in uni in Leicester.
Oh,
she
right,
lived
okay.
in, her mum and dad were in North Wales.
Right, okay.
Yeah, not where I was from, but like 30 minutes out of Chester.
So I'll be having a conversation about you straightening up and what your life is, what your profession's going to be at that point with her.
No, I was still
Working in bars.
well, yeah, like I couldn't. There's no opportunity to be really like a hairdresser that I wanted to be back in North Wales, really. So yeah, it was a bit of a.
Isn't it weird because like the sort of Gary that I know is quite sort of strategical and plan things out, and you know, like you were back when you were little, that you were right, how am I going to win this race? Have they too kind of got to do that? That I thought you actually planned all this out. I thought there were milestones. I thought there was.
No, so to give you a bit of an insight, like I've got a mentor who like he's in there because I can't plan stuff. Yeah,
Right.
If it was left up to me, it'd just be wake up, do whatever,
Right.
and I'm still like that now. A little part of some people I think enjoy the chaos. I always think, yeah. I don't want it all planned, but I also know that to grow that I need some element of planning.
Yeah.
Plus with running, obviously, then I'm falling into this world where planning equals like getting better. Yeah. So I'm going into that world, like within, again, but for me, it's always the game of things. I've realised, like for about 5 years, another part of the story is like I fell into quite high stakes poker. I was winning thousands of pounds and losing thousands a day. Yeah, but the money, it wasn't the money. It was the game. I wanted to win the game of poker basically, and I got quite good at it. So whether I was winning tournaments 200, 300, 500.
When was this?
When I'd moved between the ages of probably 23 to 28. Yeah. And I was playing in pubs, or I play in a couple of clubs, or I play online. And it got to the point online, I was like, literally, it was a couple of £1,000 a day, but could lose that as well. And because then, like, I've never been.
What's your wife called? Like Charlotte. What's your wife called?
Charlotte.
Charlotte, yeah. So you were with her at the time when you were doing the poker?
Yeah.
What was she saying?
Well, I didn't really go into how much was winning and losing because it didn't really matter. I was still working and everything, and we didn't really need any money. So it wasn't the money that was an issue really, but I could see that it was getting too much. I was spending too much time doing it basically. So one day I just stopped.
Just like that?
Yeah. Because I just thought otherwise there's no. Because I enjoyed the game so much.
So you didn't have like a slight addiction to it or anything? It didn't.
That's what I mean. It probably was.
How did you just stop then? Just like...
Because I knew that if you just carry on, there was not going to be a good ending to it.
It would just engulf you.
Because although, yeah, there's good days and bad days, but you can't just go like that.
And were you using the poker again as a runaway mechanism because you're not found your thing yet?
Yeah, probably because
something to pass the time.
I was still working, and I was working in like a nightclub where I would start at 11 at night, finish at 4 in the morning, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, and because the money was okay, and especially at that age, we didn't have any responsibilities or anything. The money was good enough for it to be. That was just my thing. But again, try and be a runner and do that.
Yeah.
It's like
no chance.
So as the running starts to push up, and I start to throw myself more into that. It was like, right, well, some things need to just go. Yeah. Well, it's not that I just made that decision. The poker was different. I made a distinct decision. I'm not going to do that again because there's no benefit really to it.
So you're running in North Wales?
Back now, yeah.
So you're in North Wales, and you're basically more running in the mountains.
Not at first, like that Leicester half marathon. I went from Leicester half marathon, did a marathon within a couple of months. And then I entered an ultramarathon because of the books I was reading and stuff. So the things that...
So when someone says an ultramarathon, what sort of distance is that? Is that 50k upwards?
Well, you could technically say it's anything more than a marathon.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
But yeah, 50k. Like the one I entered was about 56 miles, London to Brighton. Very old race, lots of history behind it. And the only way into it was like via... like an internet forum,
like an invitation kind of thing.
Not an invitation, it was just like Facebook had started, but it wasn't
Right.
massive. So now, if you want to find a race, it's like social media, really.
Right.
Back then, it was weird forums with loads of old men, and you just turn up to the field and hope that it's a
Other
race.
people too. Yeah. And it's not
Yeah.
like a dogging thing.
Exactly, yeah. And you'd like turn. It's great that we're doing it, I think, because in my world then, I was in a different world. It was like this whole new culture of ultra running and stuff. And that first race was just pure naivety. They sent a road book, they call it, through like a map book.
Up to that, have you just put yourself in it? What have you thought about leading up to it, the training that goes into doing that?
Not necessarily.
So this is a
no.
naivety bit where you've just
Yeah.
gone and just thinking, oh, I'm going to give this a go.
I mean, I'd run a marathon and
Yeah.
I'd tried my best to follow like loose plan. I'd bought some marathon books by then and tried to follow a marathon plan.
Yeah.
But again, knowing what I know now, I wasn't.
So this, you're not thinking of becoming a running coach at this point.
Oh,
You're just doing it just for the.
Yeah. I mean, part of it is, again, going back to the earlier things, just proving that I was good at something, maybe.
Yeah.
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 And that wasn't the football that I was essentially bang average at, but had friends that were very good at.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was never the top goal scorer, never the man of the match kind of thing, but I was just there and enjoyed that culture. Whereas running, no one I knew did it. Never joined a running club, any of that. Just read the books, turned up to more and more races, and yeah, that, I mean, like, I never use that word addiction because I've got friends that have had addictions and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd say I was obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything was running. I was reading books, watching what I could, entering what I could in forums, all that kind of stuff. So, and then what happens then is like my job that was like 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. at the time, that was paying okay. That becomes I just don't want to be there. It's a massive burden.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm not a single lad anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm basically in love with this
risk
girl.
and reward thing again. It's not worth it.
It's not that. I just don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just not what I want to do. But then I've spent X amount of time, not wasting my time, but it's not like I've got qualifications to fall back on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was just a case of I was doing too much, really, and had an opportunity where, like, over one summer, I just said, right, just quit everything. And I spent that time going through some courses to get like a PT qualification to get into a gym. And that was when coaching and PTing and all that started.
Yeah.
But I never, even then, it wasn't that I was going to be a running coach. It was, again, like put me in a group of people and I can be okay. So I knew that if I go into a gym, I could be a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could sell myself as one anyway. Same as I did with the hairdressing, same as I did in cocktail bars. So to me, it was just another job at that point. But then that job would allow me to be a runner. Or just
because the hours, you can sort of dictate your own hours.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
Kind of doing it, get into a bit of a routine. So when you kind of
yeah, it's again, it was still a little bit. It's still ego based. Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm a personal trainer now. It looks good, doesn't it? It's like I couldn't just get a normal job like a normal person.
Yeah.
For some reason, and earn my money 9 to 5 and be a runner that way.
Yeah. Had
to be a bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how long were you a personal trainer for then?
Still am on. I don't know.
You don't really class yourself as one though, do you? But
no.
How long were you doing that
Straight
for?
Away, before? I wasn't really I was a personal trainer. I was self-employed in a gym chain.
Yeah.
And it was not a bad decision, but it wasn't for me because it's their uniform and everything. I have to be there, what their personal trainer is. And again, I'm a 9-stone runner going into personal training. Yeah. Plus, 2 weeks before I went onto the gym floor, I broke both my elbows in a mountain race. So I'm in 2 slings. I've already paid my first month's rent at the gym.
Don't look good that for the gym, does it?
No. Well, would you go onto the gym floor?
Excuse me, can you train me?
Well, would you go onto the gym floor as a PT?
No.
Yeah, so I did for about half an hour. Yeah, because remember I paid back then. It was like 600 quid I paid. up front, but I've got 0 clients. So I need to make 600 quid before I make £1. Yeah, so it was like, I can't just sit in my house for a month. Got in it, but quickly I realised, well, what if I go to the cafe? Yeah, looks slightly less strange then. Plus everyone's speaking to me because I've got 2 broken arms. So by the end of a couple of weeks, going to the cafe and having conversations, I then had PT clients. Then I had 1 sling and I could tell someone what to do. Yeah, and it was winging it to the nth degree. Yeah, and the people that put their trust in me at that point, I'll be thankful for forever, because like, who hires a PT with no arms?
I don't know, mate. I just think, they just seen something in you.
Yeah, I was talking to
It's
them.
nothing to do with what you look like or your what's
yeah,
it.
why do people go to the gym?
Yeah,
It wasn't, don't want to be standing at the end of work. I was speaking to them in the cafe while all the PTs are going up to them on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Excuse me, mate, you got a minute? Oh, fuck off. Just earphones in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I quite quickly got into that point of like, I need to make relationships almost. And yeah, part of it is because I need to get some money, but that was more interesting to me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt someone on a treadmill or a cross trainer. Didn't work for me. Could have a conversation with you, a coffee, and then in 3 months' time, maybe you'll come back and work with me. And that's how it was.
How long was it like that for?
Worked in that gym for about 18 months, to the point where I'd filled my diary enough. But within 3 months, I thought, why am I paying all this money to this gym? Yeah, and the only people that were coming to me, or majority of the people that were coming to me, were interested in running, because I'm the 9 stone PT. The PT next to me was a rugby league lad. So if you want to get big, who are you going to go to, me or him?
Yeah.
But it was quite good because it was me, him, and then 4 lads that were like, I'd call them like top soft PTs. So they're competing. If you want to get bigger and stronger, go to Rob. If you want to be a runner, come to me. And we worked well together, whereas the other 4 just competed with each other and didn't speak to us.
Yeah.
So we had this thing going, worked quite well. And again, I was just throwing everything I could into learning then, because again, school, like I said, I was just crap at. It's not that I couldn't do it, it just wasn't interested. Whereas the stuff now, I was interested in. So the guy who was mentoring me at the time, he was literally, I can stare at a textbook for an hour and it won't go in. And he was the first one that realised that. So again, I'll be thankful for him forever, because he spoke on like an MP4 player so I could listen to it. And it was before podcasts and things really, I think. So I was listening to the information, whether it was on the train or whatever. So I was just learning all the time, but it was his voice telling me
Is he the same mentor that you've got now?
No. So he was like PT, calling the PT mentor. Yeah. And he got me through all my qualifications and more.
So after the 18 months, once you're there, is there a point where you look, I'm going to now leave?
I just left. Yeah, handed it.
And with an idea of doing what?
Well, that's it, because I thought, right, I'm going to do this outdoors, so I don't have to pay me 500 quid a month. So I'd already been saying to people, I'm going to be doing this outdoors. I'll have a kettlebell, but apart from that, I'll have nothing.
And was that the birth of the House Running Club?
Yeah, it was called Run Strong then.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was called Gary House Runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put up a website.
How many people did you have at your first?
Well, probably had about 30 people from the gym.
Yeah.
But I dropped down to about 10, because obviously a lot of them want to stay in the gym. But yeah, that's when I realised, oh shit, I don't know anything about business. Yeah, because although I hated the gym and what they were taking off me, like, the people are there, aren't they, on a plate? I can't go to a park and just get people. So I didn't know anything about business, marketing, any of this stuff. And that's when I kind of, like, things fell in line with the next mentor then. What I've always been hopefully good at is, if I see someone that I know that can help me, I'll approach them and go like, what can we do?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I remember I had 100 quid in my bank account, and I paid this guy, Paul Moore, 97 quid for a month.
I know Paul. I think Paul's coming on the podcast.
Yeah, so he's still my mentor.
Is he? Amazing.
Well, I've still worked with him. His
Yeah.
business has evolved so much. Back then, he used to be called the Boot Camp King.
Right.
And he ran like 6 boot camps up in South Shields.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's what I want to do, but with running.
Yeah.
He's doing it, and he knows this. I was like, I'm a better coach than him. How is he? He's the best in the UK at doing this at the time. But he's also, like, yeah, he's also like up and down himself.
Yeah.
He can tell his own story.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just matched up personality wise a little bit.
It's good. You need the opposite of who you are sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, like I like, yeah, and it was like, yeah, it's the systems and things, but he was a success at doing it. So why wouldn't I want to learn from him? And at that time, when you've got 100 quid in your bank account, you give someone 100 quid to tell you how to make more money. It's kind of a bit scary, but yeah, it was the best thing for my business that I did.
So what were some of the things that Paul let you implement that changed things up for you?
Well, a lot of it evolved around, like, the way he acted was completely different to when I'm in the gym and I've got like the DW badge on and stuff, and I have to be professional, and I'm not Mr. Professional. Whereas he wasn't. He would swear and stuff like on our calls and stuff like this. So it's not that I would go out my way to swear or be offensive or anything.
But you more yourself.
But I was just myself.
Yeah.
So when I was coaching, I was myself, and we had, like, from the start, we need to figure out who I want to work with, not the other way around, and all this kind of stuff, and how to build an email list and things like this. Like, I've got an email list that's 10 years old now, it's grown and all that kind of thing, and it's all that now. Like, Paul's evolved as well, and it's all, like, quite a lot of self-development, but I still value that side of things as well. So yeah, it's been quite good, and that's always been in the background. So
from 10 people, what?
Well, I had,
when you first
probably had
off?
even less. Probably had about 8 people, and 2 of them were close friends, paying me hardly anything.
Yeah.
And then, but because no one I knew was coming in, then all of a sudden I've probably got 5 people within that first month. Yeah, because the first couple of colds, and then if it's cold, no one turns up. If it's wet, they're not turning up, and I haven't got any cancellation policy.
Yeah.
And because I've gone outside, I've gone to 20 quid an hour, but it takes me 30 minutes to get there, and it's like, just, I was doing nothing right.
Yeah.
But what it taught me was how to work hard at getting people, making relationships with people, being almost like relentless with everything that Paul was teaching me. Email every single day. I had an email list of 6 people. It's like 8,000 people now. But when it was 6 people, I'm still doing it every day. And it's just putting the reps in that way. But when you're shit at that stuff, only 6 people are seeing it. Yeah, it's like your first social media video. When I first did that, it's like no one really saw it. And then, yeah, it just got to the point where there was a turning point, actually. I went from doing one-to-one. I'd never been a group trainer. Went from being one-to-one, and Paul said to me, do a workshop, do a free workshop. That was essentially like a lead magnet, yeah. Do a free workshop for everyone in the area that wants to come along. Get out with your flyers. And back then there was no, and then Facebook marketing was just starting. We were just trying things.
Yeah.
Got 50 people in this workshop in a field. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I was presenting this workshop and I sold it as, you don't have to run. It's a running workshop. There's no running. We're not going anywhere. So 49 women turned up. One guy, that guy was a husband, something like that. And and all of a sudden, it was like, and I had an audience. I was a different person. Because by then I'd done a couple of years now of one-to-one stuff, and one-to-one with people that I might not like, but I just had to take money, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And they might have finished work and they've had a long day and they're draining the life out of me.
Yeah.
Well, I've been out in the, like, it's -5 in North Wales winter. I can't cancel a session. So if they're not cancelling it, I'm turning up. And it's like a couple of winters of that, and it's like, okay, something else needs to happen here. So that first point of doing a group one, that was it. Right, this needs to be a group thing. And I resisted it a little bit, but it was just obvious because the energy was better. So, and I totally get it why what people want to do one-to-one.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, okay, let's turn this into a group thing. And that's when Run Strong, well, Gary, like House Running Club, was born properly. Because why am I doing 8 hours day trying to do that when I can get them in a group a few nights a week. Turned into a few mornings a week, turned into 2 locations, turned into 3 locations. Had one of my best friends working for me, not for me, with me, taking sessions, who had basically run with me for years, so we trusted him and they trusted him. And it was great. There was 180 members at one point in a in a county paying me money, 50 or 60 quid a month.
That's insane, that,
where there's 4 running clubs with 100 members, and it's free. And they used to hate me, but it's like, well, I'm doing something different here. And in the early days, I went to them. I was like, I'll come and do these workshops for free. I just want to speak to your members, that kind of stuff. And it was Stonewall. And then I've got this running group. What
are you doing alongside it personally then? Is Gary House starting winning races? Is Gary House getting his name out there for this runner at this point?
So, like the first ultramarathon I did, I remember I had to look back at this, but I looked back not that long ago, and I was just like,
put that on the side.
Sorry, 70th or something, which wasn't probably 150 people in it, so it's not like I was naturally just all of a sudden great. But again, reading more books, applying stuff, doing some courses with Vivo Barefoot, getting a coach myself, this kind of thing. So then I went to a 24-hour race, and I did it for charity. Like a local animal charity.
Were you just running for 24 hours non-stop?
Well, it's how far can you go in 24 hours, a cross-country thing. They call it, it's different now, they call it the Thunder Run. And so I turned up at this race, put my tent too far away from the start-finish line to basically use it. So I started, and essentially no one really said that you could go in a tent, or no one really said that you could have a break. So when it was raining and cold in the middle of the night, Charlotte just pulled up the car near the start finish, and I got in, had a cup of tea, and then carried on trudging through. And at the first, Charlotte was telling me what position I was in, but it's every 10k, so every hour, well, more than that, she was telling me. I was like, right, stop telling me, okay, because I just don't want to know. The morning came, and she said, right, do you want to know where you are now? I said, okay then. She said, you're in 8th place, and when it went dark, you were in like 40th place. So I was like, oh my God, kind of thing, And I covered like 96 miles, but I could have covered more. But I said, I'm not going to do the 100 because then I know I'll come back. And I finished 7th in the end, which still wasn't amazing, but that was 7th place in a 24-hour ultramarathon. And that was the point where I thought, I'm going to be good at this. Is
that the first time you've thought to yourself, I'm a runner?
It's the first time I had a proper competitive, as in like,
I can do this.
I can still be better, because I'm still winging it. It's just pure naivety, and like and at that point, running 100 miles was
when you had the Run Strong and the Gary House to start off with. Like, you're not classing yourself as a runner at that point. Even though you are a runner, you've got imposter syndrome that you kind of.
I mean, I am a runner then. I'm racing loads, but that when you're, it's not like you're running. There wasn't that many ultra marathons around at that point, so you're running half marathons, and I'm not. Well, I wasn't genetically gifted enough to be great at that. But when an ultra marathon came along and I entered it, I was better at it. Right. So, like, you don't. I'm a big fan of that. You don't choose your sport chooses you. And that's the same within running. There's a reason why I don't play front row for Wales, or I'm not a basketball player. There's a reason why I'm better at running. And within running, there's a reasons why I'm better at the very longer stuff or the mountain stuff compared to a 10k or a marathon. So they're different sports. Again, you read in things like Born to Run and being good at, or better at top 10 in this ultramarathon, that spurs you on. Well, I'm going to be better next time. I'm going to enter another race.
So what did you do after the 24-hour one then?
After it? I entered another one.
Another 24-hour again? Well,
you have to give yourself time, obviously. But
how much time do you have to give yourself?
Well, there's not that many opportunities back then. There is now, but it was a year.
Right.
So then I do a couple more ultramarathons in between, and like to give you an idea, the next one, then I'm covering 120 miles and finishing second. And that one was quite competitive. And then I do.
And you get sponsors looking at you at this point.
No, because there isn't in 24-hour
Right.
cross. There's not definitely not then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I do, but like the UK ultra scene or culture, then it's like these long. It's very niche. So these long distance ones are like along the canal. So I did like quite a famous one is Liverpool to Leeds Canal, and it's 135 miles. Did that in like 23 and a half hours. And back then that was one of the fastest times. It's not now. Finished second again to this guy who like held the record for ages. Any other year would have won. But to run 135 miles down the canal in like 23 and a half hours, that put me up there quite well. I'm obviously quite good at this, but it wasn't by accident. I was like, by now I'm putting everything into training. Yeah, and it wasn't a business then, but I'm working on running. Yeah, so that is my life then, really. Again, got no money really because I'm still early with that kind of stuff with the PT and things, just enough to get by. But all my energy was being put into the running. So those are, and it was still run on naivety really. Like again, I'm still learning, so I'm turning up to, then the next canal race, it's 140 miles long, but because I've read a certain article and book, I decided to try and do it just on nuts and seeds, no carbohydrates, and just do it on fats. So I'm a fat adapted athlete now.
Right,
yeah. Ran the first 50 miles, ran into like third place, and then start going a bit dizzy, gets a bit hot. I have an ice cream and a Mars bar out of this little like basically tuck shop on the side of the canal, and then end up going white as a sheet. You can imagine with blood sugars.
Yeah.
And I'm in someone's garden throwing up white as a sheet, and I'm within 10 minutes I'm in the back of a car. Dead to the world.
When is it that people started looking at you for doing like sponsorship? Like what's the watch brand called? Is it Corrupt?
I was with Coros, not with them now.
Yeah.
They've left the UK, as in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm supported by Montaigne, but it's not like a sponsorship like you would think of, like a football sponsored by Nike. I built a relationship with them, and they supply me some kit and stuff, and I'm happy with that. There's some that I've maybe turned down in the past because I'm just someone that, like, if I think something's good, I'll wear it. But like with my shoes, I like to have choice over the shoes. And to be honest, to be bluntly honest, I'm not at the level in the races that matter to be out and out sponsored.
Yeah.
Like this, like a Salomon athlete, say, they are a next level in mountain running. I would not be competing with them. Yeah, so that's never really been. It's nice, like when someone offers you stuff, but yeah, it's not.
So the actual house running club now, what sort of members have you got then, from someone doing a 5K right up to doing an ultra marathon?
Yeah, it's a real mix, because when, again, going back to when I was just working like outdoor, had to market it in a way that I only spoke to women that were overweight trying to lose weight in their 30s. I had this whole niche down, and that was my marketing thing. But it did evolve, because then they start bringing husbands, because the wives are going and getting these results, and it was a great group. Then it was like women and men, and it's like, well, I can't keep just speaking to women. And then it kind of evolved to the point where, and I never wanted to be, I wasn't running coaching by then, by the way. I wasn't writing training plans. I was just teaching the movement, bits of strength, and then at the end of it, we would go on a bit of a group run, that kind of thing. Yeah, but I wasn't a running coach. Never asked to be a running coach, because again, when I started doing it, there wasn't many of them. Yeah. Then a couple of people asked, "Can you help with a training plan?" A friend or whatever, and I would. Then that person would tell another person. So at one point, I'm helping 10 people with training plans, essentially for free, because.
So the house running club has come out of a sort of need, what other people have wanted, not you actually kind of deciding to kind of do that.
If you'd have asked me 10 years ago, would you be working out of an office in your home as a running coach? Like, no, I want to be outdoors. I want to be with the people, kind of thing. Yeah. But again, like, your priorities change as well. So as I'm like, you get a young family and things. And also I know PTs, and I know group PTs that are 40, 50, And if you're just doing that in your local area, like, where do you take that? Yeah, like, it's difficult, isn't it? So I'm always looking to grow, but it comes back to that game thing. I was never really money motivated, but I either wanted more people or I wanted it to be seen as a success. Yeah. Whether that was locally with my local thing or like now with the house running club, I just want it to be better all the time. Yeah. And it keeps me interested. So when I start to coach these people, they're local people at first. Then I'm getting emails from people that have either seen me at a race or I start doing the odd talk or whatever. Can you help me? And I'm saying no. And then I do help a couple of people, but I'm literally having to write it out on a Word document and send it to them. And so then it starts happening. Then I've got like 150 people locally, but then I've got 20 people that I'm coaching essentially online.
Virtually.
Via email, yeah. Then it goes to 25. but again, it's very labour intensive, that. So that has to be, well, one, I'm starting to charge a bit more for it, have a bit more confidence that I can charge more for it. But it's like, well, this carries on, I can outweigh the local thing. And then it might be 6 months, or it might be 6 years. I'm not going to be in these constant cycles of get new people, local people in, spend the winter kind of out and about and all that kind of thing. It gives me an opportunity to grow. That's in line with as well social media, I guess. Yeah. And I was getting better at knowing that, understanding that I have to be good at business and marketing in order to have a chance, really.
Yeah, because everybody mentioned your Instagram and TikTok and just how informative but weird and funny you are at the same time. You can, you get a real good feeling of who you are.
Yeah.
There's not this corporate sort of DW feel about it. You can just tell it is just you.
Yeah.
And that's why people sign up to your programs and stuff.
Yeah. And like the first video I ever did was a bit of a piss take video, and I just put it in the group that I coached, and someone dared me to put it on my Facebook page. And when you see your Facebook page suddenly get 100 likes when it usually get 2 likes, it's like, well, I'll put another video, and then I'll put another video. And like you look back at them and it's like some weird, odd kind of the fast show kind of speaking to the thing, horrendous quality and all that. But yeah, it was just fun. And you'll know what it's like. It's like I would get a buzz from, I'd put it out and I'd almost be excited and nervous to press the push and send it out. But I would still send it out. There's never been a video where I've not put out that way. Some of them will nosedive. Some of them I'll get some kind of like resistance against. But
what was the reason that you came to us and had a rebrand? I don't think I've ever asked you that question.
So I've had Run Strong now for a few years. It's called Run Strong. Yeah, like locally everyone knew it as Run Strong. We would go to races, Run Strong kit. In North Wales, everyone would know Run Strong, really, if I'm honest. And then what starts to happen is other people start using Run Strong.
That's right, yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's because they saw my Run Strong. Some of them definitely were, because there's websites that literally ripped off my website, my quote and everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could do. And for years, I was down the line of, I don't really care. Yeah, but then it gets to the point where it's so saturated, like you only have to type the words into like Instagram or something, and there's hundreds come up.
Hashtags and
so it was just, and it just, like you said, like I knew that you'd get out of me the fact that it just didn't fit with where I was going or what I was really. It just didn't really mean it. Run Strong. The name didn't mean anything to me. The only reason it was Run Strong is I went to a strength workshop one day. It was called Strong, and I thought that's a great name for a workshop. Go to that. I just stick running in front of it. Didn't mean anything more than that. And like when I first started out, I had some advice: don't use your name, don't ever use your name, because remember it was Gary House Runs. Yeah. And then the more I thought about it, it was like, I might just go back to Gary House Runs kind of thing, because I'm doing some speaking gigs, or I'm getting asked to do stuff that isn't necessarily my coaching, but it's like, how do I introduce you? Are you Gary Runstrong? Like, no, I'm not. What? Like Gary Runstrong? So it was just, that's basically why. Yeah. And it wasn't wasn't really the logo or anything, although obviously I enjoyed that. It was more the process of it and just almost giving me a new
Lisa life. It's just,
like
I mean, it's just when
energy.
It's when you did your merch, mate, and I saw, you know, you post on your Insta stories and see all your members start wearing the buffs and stuff, and I'm just like, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Innit?
And remember now it's evolved. So I've got this old group of the old members that, like, even now I'll go for the odd run with them, and it's like, oh, can we call it Run Strong or whatever? I don't know. And it's funny because. And then they mix in with the new people that only have ever known House Running Club, and it's good. It's still just me at the end of the day, isn't it? Like it's like a blessing and a bit of a curse. Whereas I do all of the coaching, people join House. Like I know people join House Running Club for me. It's not for any other reason. So I have to do that.
Yeah.
So, but it is nice when it's now House Running Club. It's not Run Strong because there's no other House Running Clubs.
Yeah. No.
But it was only when that change happened.
Yeah.
It did give me a buzz, and it gave me new energy, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's because, I mean, you know, I know we've talked about this before, but when I was at school, obviously we had houses in schools, and when you ran for your house, you really part to be of that. So when we were talking about the brand, and it's just like your name, it's in the name, and you can't be anything else but yourself, and everybody's kind of running for that house. And I was just like, this is just like, it just needs to be that.
Yeah.
So what's next for House Running Club? What's next for Gary House?
I don't know. Like you say, like you said,
you just
about the planning thing.
I've
got zero plan. Apart from, I love the game of like priorities change. Like now, like you know that we've gone from, like, now my business supports the whole family. Like I've managed to be able to take my wife out of a job that she ended up hating, and she helps me a bit. But that becomes different pressure then to just me earning some money for the weekend or whatever, or going on a holiday.
Yeah.
But I don't mind that. I'll take that every day because I enjoy the game of, like, anyone that's got a business and gone through like that pandemic and everything, and arguably mine has grown, then I should be able to get through anything. Yeah. Like tomorrow I could wake up with, I would say to Charlotte, tomorrow I could wake up with, everyone could leave. Yeah. But I'll still be able to build something again. I could just go out and go on a gym floor. I could go out and go to the park. So I've never got a massive worry about that. But I just want House Running Club to be better. So more like this, not to be bigger necessarily.
Yeah.
But what we do inside of it.
Yeah.
So like now Charlotte's like the accountability coach, because I've not really heard of that before.
That's good.
So she runs the accountability side. Like the talks that we do in our club now is more, I've had more confidence to do personal development stuff, talk more about the mindset stuff that me and Paul do.
Yeah.
Been doing that for 7 years now, so I should be able to talk about it.
Yeah. I think I just,
if it was up
for me, right, it's kind of, you know, even if you're not into running, I just want people to follow your social media, just to give them permission to be themselves and be weird and be stupid and what's it. You know, that's what I love about House Running Club the most. Yeah. That you can just be a dick.
And that's
Don't be scared of being a dick.
Yeah.
You know,
like it's great because I keep it quite private inside the group. Yeah. So it's there's like the forum stuff and all that, the stuff that we share is private kind of thing. I don't really share their things because then they have more confidence to be more weird.
Yeah.
And if someone does really great in a race, amazing. They need to have the confidence to share that just as much as the people that are having a shit time.
Yeah.
They have the confidence as well.
Yeah.
Like quite a lot I'll add on when I do our results. I'll list the results, but I'll also list the ones that DNF'd, didn't finish. Because for me, that's real. Is it like I know running coaches, and you only ever see the wins. Same as it was a personal trainer, isn't it?
Yeah.
You see the transformation, 10 transformations. You don't see the 100 ones that didn't make it.
Yeah.
But in our group, it's quite good. They talk about their mental health. They'll tell when they've been depressed for a few weeks or whatever, and I don't even need to go in there a lot of the time. The others have lifted each other up or.
That's what a proper brand is, mate.
Yeah, and
that's
that kind of thing. And I like that.
Yeah, I love that.
Like the accountability side, it's run on a different group. Charlotte runs it. I don't even have anything to do with it. Because if we're going to do this, I haven't got time.
Yeah.
But I do, like, just give me some good feedback or whatever. And And yeah, it's quite good like that.
So
But if it was up to me, as in what's next,
yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the creative stuff, if it was up to me, I would just make videos all day and do that as a run a group kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've recently went and shot a video with a brand and everything. And like, if I'm honest, it was crap. I'd have done a better job.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like doing what you guys do, that's what draws me to, because I see you having fun on shoots, so I see you.
Yeah.
Like it's part of it and being creative.
Yeah.
Like
I think too many people take themselves too seriously in this game. And,
Yeah.
you know, well, in any game really, they try doing these fancy promos and stuff, and there's no personality or character to it. And I'm just like, people need to be doing this short little nuggets more, and you know, really expressing what your personality, your character is of your brand.
Yeah.
And there's not many people. Well, I think it's the more scared to do it. Do you know what I mean? I've got like a really good sense of I don't give a fuck, as in not give a fuck about you as a person, but I don't give a fuck about what you think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll just be ourselves, and you know, that's really what I want to promote.
A lot of it is, like I've seen it in personal training and in run coaching, people are scared to people only put stuff out there maybe if it's perfect, or if they think that it can't, or if it's almost like a bit of advice that you can't really argue with, say, because it's safe. And then like I've helped coaches in the past, and then like they're worried about, I don't really know what to post. It's like, well, you need to do something else then, mate. Because I could post 10 times a day if I didn't think everyone would just leave. That kind of thing. It's like, well, you do know what to post. You need to stop trying to, like, back in PT days, it was PTs were only doing stuff to impress the other PTs, not to impress on you, my client, that kind of thing. So if I'm putting videos out, some of it is just for me. If it makes me laugh, it's going out. The learning stuff isn't for me. But so if I think I don't have to be the brainiest person in the world, don't have to be the biggest running coach expert in the world. I've got advice that someone that knows less than me might be interested in knowing.
Agreed.
If someone's been running for a month, they will have things that they will be able to tell someone who's completely new. So you just start there. I don't have to tell them about stuff that I don't know about, because it sounds better to the other coaches who are out there, if that makes sense.
All the advice that you give and stuff is just from your experience and what you know.
A lot of it,
like, and that's, to me,
and having an opinion. Like, there's lots of opinions I've had within running that I get so much flack for. It's when you boil down to it, what the advice is. Like, people know me as this person that hates foam rollers and things. It's ridiculous. I've almost built up like I'll spoke to the national running show, 10,000 people there, and they want to know why I don't like a foam roller. It's honestly.
Is that what they asked you?
Sometimes, or like when I'm on other podcasts, tell me why you don't hate because they don't understand, do they? But that's the thing because I'll say that and back it up. And because people use foam rollers, probably gets their backs up, right? But I don't care if you use a fucking foam roller or not. I'm just telling you it's more than my opinion when it's for some things, If like a lot of it is science-based, and you can have a conversation with me, but I'll have a conversation with you about it. But honestly, some people will latch onto those things and get really angry. You know what it's like. People get really angry when you think about it. We just talk about foam roller, mate. It's not. So I'm able to hopefully like make that funny, or at least what I find funny. I don't really take any of it too seriously. And some posts, it's like poking a bear. It's like, I know that'll get some certain people's back up.
That is funny, that, Gary. So if anybody now is looking to get into a 5, 10K ultra marathon, how can people find you? What would you say? Follow you on Instagram at Gary House?
A lot of the time. Because what I try and do is, follow me on Instagram or whatever it is, but give it a few posts. You might catch me on a day where I'm either being a complete dick, or that I'm just dancing. But out of 10 posts, I'll hopefully give you some good bits of information. get on the email list because that's where I probably speak more. But a lot of it is, I wish more people would just get out and do it and try it themselves, almost fail quite a bit and then come to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's good to start with a clean sheet and everything, and it might not be me that you get on with as a coach. There's plenty of coaches out there now, but
yeah,
just get out there and do it to a point, but don't do it if you're not going to enjoy it. There's plenty of other sports out there. Everybody
just follow Gary House on Instagram. If you're not into running, just follow him because he's mint.
Yeah,
Gary.
Because I might not be running in 10 years and I'll need you to back me with someone else.
Thanks so much for coming on, mate. Appreciate it.
All right, mate.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.